The Free People Show, episode 17.
The Free People Show is a show about the practice and politics of being free. Free from government, free from coercion, and free to be yourself. Host Phil Anderson is a libertarian, a Christian, and was the kind of kid who, according to his grandmother, just wouldn't shut up. Phil and his co-hosts will talk politics, but also life in general, challenging you, entertaining you, persistently rapping on the back door of orthodox two-party politics, sparing nobody and taking no prisoners, maybe even making you laugh. Tweet us at @FreePeopleShow with questions and suggestions, or comment on Facebook during or after the show. For information about being a guest, hosting a live broadcast, or sponsoring the show, email info@freepeopleshow.com. Thanks for listening. Now, here's your host, Phil Anderson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Free People Show, episode 17. We've got a lot in store for you tonight, but first, we need to thank everyone who's made this possible. First of all, my co-host, Miles Kristen, engineer Samuel Anderson, business agent Ron DePau, show webmaster Dustin Dryfurst, show contributors Jeff Korch, Jay Ranchad, John Migloch, and, of course, the Libertarian Party of Dane County. You can find the Free People Show at freepeopleshow.com, as well as on our host platform, Spreaker. You can also find us on Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and on Facebook, Wave Everyone, and Twitter. My co-host tonight, Miles Kristen, is a video journalist and activist for government transparency, among many other things. He's the founder of Wisconsin International Radio and the owner and curator of Yellow Rose Gallery at 122 State Street in Madison, Wisconsin. He is everywhere, knows just about everything, and is unafraid of telling the truth about whoever, wherever. And as we make a quick technical adjustment, welcome, Miles.
Thank you for having me. He's not lying.
Thanks for being on. Our first guest tonight, we are going to get to Pete Augelli, who is a compatriot of mine at Libertarian Party of Dane County. He's currently the secretary. He's also running for the vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin, among many other things that he does. We'll get to him probably in the bottom of the hour. But for now, a very special guest, a dear friend of my co-host, Miles Kristen, and somebody I've met once, maybe twice. Adam Kokesh, among many other things, is an activist. He's running for president in 2020 already on the platform of abolishing the federal government. He is the author of the book Freedom, which he was kind enough to autograph for me last time he was here. And he has plenty of stories to tell and plenty of insight to share with us. Welcome, Adam.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's a real pleasure, and it's always good to hear the words Yellow Rose associated with Miles and, of course, our friend Jim.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us. So,
well, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that requires a little bit of an explanation. But
go ahead.
You mentioned how Miles and I go back in the Yellow Rose Gallery, and we go back to when it was our friend Jim, who's since passed, with Veterans for Peace, driving the Yellow Rose of Texas bus and being a huge supporter of Iraq Veterans Against the War. And that was my big start in activism, IVAW. And Miles was there from the beginning, and there are very few people in our movement who you can just say, this guy is absolutely freaking legit because of the time he's put in and how much positive impact that he's had on the world. And Miles is definitely one of those dudes.
He's making a face right now, a little sheepish, humble sort of face. I'll let him speak for himself, though.
I would just say that not too many of us got egged and beaten up in high school for protesting the Iraq War. So, think about we were talking back when it first started.
Awesome. So thanks for joining us, Adam. We really appreciate it. So tell us what's going on. We've got a couple of things I definitely want to touch on. First of all, your presidential campaign. How is that going, and how are you carrying that out?
Well, it's great. I am really excited to be bringing on Ben Farmer as our sort of not campaign manager. Remember, I'm running for not president, and the purpose of the campaign is to put the existence of the federal government up to a referendum. And I've always said that this campaign is not about me. I'm one guy who you can trust to carry this message, who you can trust to carry out a plan with integrity and stick to the plan. But even then, it's not even about me. It's about this preordained plan that we're going to come up with. That is the executive order that I sign on the first day in office, or whoever the candidate is who we decide to put forth as the candidate on this platform of the peaceful, orderly dissolution of the United States federal government. And we're creating the American Referendum Project now so that people can invest in an organization when they're investing in my campaign, when they're volunteering and putting in work and helping spread the message. When they're doing that they are investing in something that's bigger than any one person, that really could carry on without me. This is also the ultimate life insurance. If they kill me, someone else just steps in and carries the banner, right?
Well, unless they kill the vice president too, and then you're stuck with the Speaker of the House, I suppose. Which is probably not going to work out that well.
But the point is, this is about changing the paradigm about how the American people think about government and localizing it, taking it down from the federal level to the state level. So the plan's very simple: neutralize, privatize, localize. By signing this executive order that on the very first day declares the federal government of no authority whatsoever, we neutralize it. It can no longer hurt anyone. It can't start any more wars. It can't carry on the drug war. It can't steal from anybody. None of that. It all goes away. It can't regulate businesses out of existence. It can't harass people with the IRS. None of it. Gone. Done. And then privatize. My favorite example of this, because people sometimes get the wrong idea about privatization. Well, right now the VA is controlled by a handful of bureaucrats and Congress. What I want to see with the VA, there's no reason the VA shouldn't exist. We're not talking about abolishing the federal government, like getting rid of everything. We're talking about dissolving it in a responsible manner. So the VA, there's no reason it shouldn't exist. It just shouldn't be paid for by taxes, and it shouldn't be controlled by bureaucrats. So when I say privatize the VA, from liquidating other assets of the federal government, we give it an endowment, and one voting share goes to every single veteran in the country. And now the VA is controlled by actual veterans who it's supposed to serve. I guarantee you do that, you're not going to have 22 veteran suicides a day in this country. Similarly, with Social Security, with other actual welfare services where the government provides a legitimate benefit to people, I want to see the government liquidated and that money used to fund those agencies as private charities as long as they can exist. This is how we transition responsibly to a system where people aren't forced to engage in a retirement system that is most likely not in their best interest and can be raided by government at any time. So it's a way to make things more accessible, more in the hands of the people. National parks, I want them to be made available for, similarly, anybody who visits them, maybe in the first 6 months, to come and claim a share by just showing up and saying, I want a share of this. So by privatizing, we end up with a broader, widespread ownership by the people, where resources become managed in the best interests of the people. Localize, there are some agencies that should be transitioned responsibly over to state governments, and we're going to provide for an appropriate administrative process to handle that. And we'll have, in this executive order, appointed not secretaries of, but custodians of each individual agency who will carry out this preordained plan. And when you tell people, hey, how much better off would you be without the federal government in your life? If you could keep all your personal benefits, at least for a while, how much better off would you be? And if those benefit programs were transitioned to the states and controlled more at the community level, how much better off would you be? And people love this idea. People are ready for this. They want to see this. It's an idea whose time has come.
I would agree with you 100%, and I am behind you 100% in what we're trying to accomplish here. But just to sort of share my experience on the campaign trail running for Senate, even some of the things that are only halfway towards the things that you're recommending and proponent of tend to scare people. And people, just to a certain extent, people that are running for office as libertarians have a hard time sort of navigating between not wanting to sound too radical and wanting to represent the principles that we're talking about accurately and well and in an inspired way. It sounds to me like you're just representing the principles like 100%, and those people who aren't ready to sort of grasp the idea that they can live without the federal government might be scared or feel left out or feel like the message is just a little too radical. Have you experienced that yet?
Well, yeah, and if I may bounce off of that and go in a slightly different direction, I want to talk about something that's a little bit deeper to our movement and to the understanding of freedom that we're trying to share with people, because a lot of us came to this understanding of the unethical nature of government, the illegitimate, the destructive, the corrupt, fundamentally nature of government, and are very able to understand the ideal of a stateless society and how that presents a much better proposition for everyone involved when we stop trying to organize society by pointing guns at each other. I
Right.
would put organize in air quotes here. And because of that, we often forget that the reason we started thinking about these issues in the first place is because we care about people.
Right.
And, we kind of want to,
right.
we tend to jump ahead and go, but then there's this ideal. We would do, and we get into this intellectual, philosophical world where, we indulge in these ideas and we forget about how to apply them to immediately make everybody's life better. And if you can stay in touch with that, remember why you're a libertarian. You're not a libertarian because you want to win arguments. That's useless. That's ego, stroking BS. You didn't become a libertarian, at least you didn't stick around and stay active because you just wanted to sound smart at cocktail parties. It's because you care about human beings. And if you can stay in touch with that, like I'm doing this to make people's lives better, it changes how you look at policy. Of course I can say if there was a red button and we could abolish all government tomorrow, yeah, I'd push it. But we don't live in that world where that's possible. And I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, well, we got to be a pragmatist and, compromise our values. No. Our principles are pragmatic. That's the point. When you stay true to those principles, they present what is the pragmatic approach, because it always means a reduction in coercion, a reduction in violence, a reduction in authority that is based on the threat of force. And when you just stay present to that, to the love that is really at the core of the message of freedom, that it's about love for our fellow human beings and wanting to make life better for everyone, then it becomes easy to connect with people. And that would sort of be my advice to any libertarian candidate or any libertarian messenger for that matter, that when you can stay in that highest form of human existence, of love, then you're going to be able to communicate from the heart. You're going to be able to connect with people a lot better. And I've always found that when I'm able to do that, I'm not saying that I'm any perfect example, but I'm kind of famous for my man on the street videos that I do on YouTube. I got 57 million views because I go and I talk to people. Unless I'm talking to a cop who's getting in my face, I'm extremely respectful and polite, and I use the Socratic method, and I don't use ad hominems. I don't attack people's character. I never say you're stupid because you don't understand what I understand. I help people understand the ideas that I'm passionate by sharing my reasoning, by sharing my love and sharing my passion for these ideas, which has to come from my passion for and love for humanity itself, for the whole human experience, and ultimately for myself, because I am building the world that I want to see.
I agree with you 100%.
Someday to grow up.
At the core of my libertarianism is a love for human beings, an understanding of what the true nature of a human being is, and that is that we are happiest and most prosperous when we live in freedom and accountability, and that's just built into the nature of human beings. And so when you respond to that with people, when you talk to them about that, the people that do already understand that and can be brought, who are maybe already close, so our fellow libertarians or maybe the Democrats, Republicans, the unpoliticized, they get that. But you're running for president. So I guess that leads me to the next question if you can hang on after the break, I'd love to ask you this question. Then we want to get Miles involved in our discussion before the bottom of the hour. But my question is, you're running for president. What are your expectations, given the fact that, your message is beautiful and accurate and 100% human and humane, but it makes it a little bit less palatable for people who are so ingrained in this stupid, coercive two-party system. If you can hang around till after
I got the answer to that. Ooh. Teacher.
If you can do it in 30 seconds, or if you want to wait till after, it's totally up to you, Adam.
Oh, well, yeah. You're a liberal, you're a conservative. I can't...
Wait.
All right.
We're going to go to break?
Break.
Okay.
All right.
Miles is the one keeping time here, even though it's the 20th of April, and Andy's drinking Rumble Mints. We'll get back to after the break, Adam. Thanks for being patient. Our engineer is Whip Cracker, so we're going to get to our break. We'll be right back with Adam Kokesh, Miles Christen. We'll get to Pete Augelli at the bottom of the hour. You're listening to The Free People Show at freepeopleshow.com. Thanks for staying with us.
Burger House